Meteorologist Matthew East here with you. This is the Monday morning edition of the Carolina weather video here for this 29th day of March, and obviously had a severe weather outbreak around our area beginning yesterday afternoon and continuing through much of the evening hours. This is the compiled storm reports from the Storm Prediction Center, and each one of those red dots, and there are 9 of them, 8 of them being in the state of North Carolina. Each of those is where a tornado was reported. A lot of hail reports across the region and some wind damage scattered around as well. Let me sort of dive into some of the setup as to what happened. I got some pretty cool radar images to show you as this event unfolded. And unfortunately, it looks like a very significant damage situation occurred around the High Point area. Also around parts of Davidson County. It looks like that was likely tornado damage. It'll be a lot easier to tell for sure when the sun gets up and you can do storm surveys, but it looks like some pretty significant likely tornado damage occurred in some sections around our region. Belmont was the first to sort of get in on the action with this severe weather outbreak as it began during the 5 o'clock hour, really. As we got into yesterday afternoon, and boy, that was the first domino to fall. And I'll show you the setup as to what happened. This is a look back yesterday at 8 p.m. in the evening yesterday, and this is up at 200. It's 200 millibars, way up in the jet stream level. This is one of the ingredients you look for severe weather. You had some degree of divergence aloft. Notice these contours getting farther apart. Upper level divergence means you have low level convergence, and that's sort of just the broad scale lift that was going on. But really what produced the tornado threat was the high amount of shear or helicity we had in place. And one thing I always like to look at when you look at severe weather possibilities is the difference in the 500 millibar and the 850 millibar winds. This was 500 millibars, and that's generally a pretty strong southwest wind we had, and then you go down closer to the ground at 850 millibars, and that wind is almost pretty much, I just drew that incorrectly. It was pretty much due out of the south, and we had a racing low-level jet in place yesterday. And those are the helicity values that were produced, and this is just a snapshot I took. Let's see, this was from, looks like 6 o'clock in the evening yesterday. And those are some very high 0 to 3 kilometer storm relative felicities. And so what you had is any storms that were able to get to 20, 30,000 feet in the air really tapped into this wind shear, and you had a lot of rotating thunderstorms. Now, this is one little radar image from the storm the storm complex that formed in the upstate and roared then through the Charlotte area. This wound up producing a good bit of tornado warnings again through parts of Gaston, Cleveland, Mecklenburg, Catawba, Lincoln counties, and this complex continued to race northeastward. I wanted to show you this. Now, some of this has to do with the timing of the radar scans, but notice the tilt of the thunderstorm activity. Here's the ground, and as you get higher up into the atmosphere, that thunderstorm tilts, and that is needed to sustain strong thunderstorms. You can't have the thunderstorm going straight up in the atmosphere, or it will eventually try to collapse back on itself. That's what happens with our summertime thunderstorms. That's why they sort of pulse up and then collapse back down on themselves in short order. You don't have the upper level winds, the winds aloft needed to sustain thunderstorms. But yesterday we certainly did, and these were a lot of supercellular thunderstorms in a lot of instances across the region. This was the first domino to fall. This was a storm that eventually popped down the likely tornado here around Belmont, and that then lifted off to the northeast, and that was the first of many potentially tornadic rotating thunderstorms, and that boundary really set up pretty close to I-85. What this was is we started off the day very cool. Yesterday morning, we had sort of a residual cold air damming scenario in place, and as that wedge boundary retreated farther and farther north, what you had is right along that boundary, you had very high levels of shear, and that really produced just one rotating thunderstorm after another. And unfortunately, it was a pretty significant severe weather outbreak across our region. Now, I'm cutting this video very early this morning here on Monday morning, just about 3:40 or so in the morning. And it's still raining in a lot of the region, some residual flash flooding issues, but the severe weather threat is over for the I-85 corridor. from this round of convection that began yesterday into the overnight hours. But some more showers and storms coming today. Here's the reason why. A little different setup today. You have a closed upper air low that'll be pivoting overhead. This is 8 o'clock this evening, Monday evening. And this is what the NAM prints out. And what this will likely wind up being are scattered showers and some thunderstorms as well. Now, I don't think we're looking at any type of tornado threat today, but what we will see is that any storms that develop could produce some hail as we get into this afternoon and early this evening due to the cold air aloft. Pretty easy to get hail production if we do get any thunderstorms developing today. Tomorrow, we're dry, and that'll be the beginning of a long stretch of dry weather. Tomorrow will be in the 60s in most spots for highs, but boy, then the temperatures are really going to skyrocket. This is Wednesday, and notice what happens here. We get this high pressure in the Gulf of Mexico, and this southwesterly flow really begins to take off, and that's going to give us some really, really nice warm weather here as this week unfolds. Wednesday will be in the 70s for highs, and then a lot of 80s coming. This is Thursday, and I think we're up into the mid-80s in many spots Thursday afternoon with lots of sunshine. There is Friday, more of the same, 80s for highs. That's a good Friday. Here's Saturday, a lot of sunshine, still in the 80s for highs. Then Easter Sunday, the next system tries to move in. It looks pretty weak at a lot of the modeling. The GFS actually makes this precipitation largely fall apart as it pushes in. The Canadian a little bit more bullish with it, and that's 8 a.m. Monday morning, and it does bring some shower activity in late in the day, Easter Sunday, and especially Sunday night into parts of Monday. So that really is our next potential system, late Sunday into Monday. But a long stretch after this afternoon of dry weather, and we're going to have a lot of 80s for highs coming. So if you've been wanting some warm, dry, quiet weather, it is on the way this week. All right, that's it for today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Thanks for watching. Everyone have a wonderful day, and God bless.